Hello, people. I hope you can hear me all right. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I've got a new setup. I'm hoping I don't have to come up to the microphone like this all the time because that will be annoying. But please let me know if you can't hear me, and I will for this stream go down here, but hopefully I won't have to. But it's a new setup; things can just be adjusted. But people, happy deadline day! Happy deadline day! I hope you're all keeping well. The Monday transfer streams. This is the final one before the summer. No. Don't worry, people. Don't worry. There will still be consistent live streams from now until the end of the season. Um, However, before we talk about transfers, obviously there wasn't any content out over the weekend, so I want to first off start this show by congratulating Arsenal women's. We are now world champions, and I don't care um, if I said it was a pointless trophy when Chelsea won it. Yeah, I'll be um, I'll be praising the women's all season now. We've got a trophy in the bag. We always win trophies. We win a trophy every season, and that trend continues. Jordan, big up Jordan. Jay, Jordan. I hope you're all doing well. Um, Thank you very much for tuning in. We will be talking not just Arsenal stories today because why? Arsenal aren't really doing much. Yeah, this is a deadline day stream. We're going to be talking about some other news as well regarding Crystal Palace because there is a huge talking point there. But that will probably be towards the end of the stream. I want to get all the Arsenal stuff out of the way first, however boring that might be. So let's, of course, do this. Let's start with this absolute fraud. This guy is on Fraud Watch. Florian Plettenberg. This guy got me excited for about 5 minutes. This guy actually got me excited for about 5 minutes. Josh, big up to you. Thank you very much for coming onto the stream. Same with you, Tyrell. Thank you very much for tuning in. But we're starting with this guy here. Florian Plettenberg got me excited, as I said, for a grand total of about 5 minutes. Exclusive. Arsenal are exploring a surprise deadline day move for Sandro Tonali. Very difficult at this stage as Newcastle have rejected an initial approach. I was at college today, right? And I read this story and I actually got excited. Yeah, it jumped me out my seat. Obviously, there's the devastating news that Mikel Merino will probably miss the rest of the season now. So it's like, okay, Arsenal, the expectation would be to find a replacement. Sandro Tonali, being labelled by Paul Scholes as the best midfielder in the league, better than Declan Rice, some people would say. I'm like, yeah, this is brilliant news. This is brilliant news. In fact, Florian Plettenberg even said this on live television. He said this on Sky News. And look, no one's ruling out an attempt to sign Sandro Tonali in the summer. If we got Sandro Tonali through the door, I would not be complaining at all. You know, he is described by many as the best midfielder in the league. So surely he'd come in and provide competition for Zubimendi and Rice, which is what we've been asking for all transfer window. You know, you can date back to December when I did my show with James from the Gooniverse, going over what positions we need to address in this transfer window, and both of us said central midfield. Competition cover for Zubimendi and Rice because they played every minute of this season. They seem to be the real engine within this team. So, yeah, I think Sandro Tonali, he'd be a very good signing. Florian trying to stay relevant as usual. Yep, Um, Sandro would be insane. Would be insane. Maybe we could revisit him in the summer. Look, no one has ruled out a summer sort of approach for Sandro Tonali. However, I'm just going to get the Fabrizio Romano tweet. Yes, I've got a new keyboard, people. I've got a new keyboard. Yes, let me try and find it. It was a reply to a tweet, so give me a second, guys. Luca Nets to Nottingham Forest. It's been a pretty good deadline day, hasn't it? Lots of drama so far. Story that we'll talk about later. This is the one here. So, Fabrizio Romano. We'll speak about this guy a little bit later on, James Wilson. But whoever this is replied, "Is the Tonali rumours true?" And Fabrizio Romano said, "No, they are not true. Sandro Tonali will not be signing for Arsenal this January, according to Fabrizio Romano. It's fake news. Arsenal never tried going in for him. However, his agents reportedly are very much pushing for an Arsenal move. Is that true? Probably not. Look, if Sandro Tonali was to sign for Arsenal right now, he'd have a very good chance of winning the Premier League and other trophies alongside that, including the Champions League, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. But we're still in awful competition, so not only is competition needed, but a squad is needed if you want to dive into all of those competitions further. So hopefully, Sandro Tonali. Who knows? We have got what 2.5 hours before the deadline shuts. Berta, work your magic. If Tonali was to come through the door, I think we'd all be very, very happy as a fan base. Now, this here is AFC Stuff. If you don't follow AFC Stuff on Twitter, go and give them a follow. Pretty much report everything Arsenal related. This is a report from Miguel Delaney, reporter for The Independent, and he claims that it is far more likely that Arsenal decide against signing a direct replacement for the injured Mikel Merino before the end of the transfer window, as there is an anticipation that Max Dallman could step into that role. People, Max Dallman, the injured Max Dallman, I think it must be said. Yeah. It does sort of beg the question, why did we let Ethan Nwaneri go? However, I do agree with letting Ethan Nwaneri go. He needed to go for his development, just showcase some football, some tech that he's got, but he's a very similar role to Max Dallman. If you're comparing Max Dallman to Mikel Merino, they're nothing like each other. So bringing Max Dallman into the team for that Merino role, yeah, I don't see that happening. I think if it was to occur, fair play, 16 getting into the first team. Will it actually happen? No, probably not. We saw Ethan Nwaneri struggle to get regular minutes when he was 18 last season, let alone this. So I think Arteta having full trust in a 16-year-old, it's not just about Arteta having trust, actually. It's not. I haven't worded that very well. It's also, for his development physically as well as a player. Would he be ready to come in and step into the Premier League on a regular basis? What is this that I've just been sent? What is this that I've just been sent? it is a report from Fabrizio Romano. Brilliant. Another name that Arsenal have been rumoured with all summer, all January. Is it on it? Yep. Brilliant. Breaking news, people. Atletico Madrid are in direct club talks with Elche to sign Rodrigo Menezes on deadline day. Negotiations are underway with the player clean on the move. Amazing. Just put it on the chat. Why are we not in for him? Yeah, like, this is a player that was spoken about before the window even started. And Arsenal are nowhere to be seen. It's the same every January with Arsenal. We never get any business done. It's not urgent. However, Marino is now out for the season. You let Ethan Nwaneri go out on loan. We are kind of light in the squad now. And with 2.5 hours to go in the transfer window, will that be addressed? Probably not. Should it? Absolutely 100%. We need to bring in a midfielder. I've been saying it all transfer window, and I was saying it in December. My opinion's not going to change. Big up, Rory. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, Rodrigo Menezes, another player that's, yes, fair enough. He's staying in Spain. Yeah. They let Conor Gallagher go. They go and replace him pretty much immediately in the same transfer window with Rodrigo Mendoza. Fantastic. Let's focus on more of the youth team, because literally every week it feels like the majority of the stories reported are all about the youth team. Yeah. This guy here, Maldini, for short, Maldini. I think this guy's Albanian. The Albanian Maldini, absolutely massive. I don't know if you guys remember against Bolton last season when this guy came on. It was as big as Gabriel. He's been a very important player for Morecambe, I believe, this season. Obviously, Morecambe aren't having the greatest of seasons in the non-league. I think they play in the National League. But Maldini played a very key role, I think. Played the majority of their games. However, Arsenal have agreed a deal with League Two side Grimsby of the permanent sale of Maldini for an undisclosed fee. So, look, League Two sides, are we going to get much money for him? Probably not. Ryan Taylor Sport reporting this one from Football London. This is frustrating. You are getting my live reaction to Deadline Day news. This is what Deadline Day is about. Let's focus on some good news now, though. This is regarding the women's team. As I said at the start of the stream, congratulations to the women's team for becoming world champions. There is some transfer news that we're going to focus on now. Discussions over Emily Fox's contract renewal were said to be positive, and seems as though there's no hint of anything having changed. There is also the expectation of a pre-agreement for Stanway being completed soon. So I think it's pretty much clear that Georgia Stanway will become an Arsenal player this summer. And obviously Emily Fox, as we reported earlier in the window, is running out of contract this summer. So it is good to hear that positive talks are taking place. However, one player that could be leaving Arsenal is Katie McCabe. Apparently there's no agreement contract-wise there so far. Hopefully that changes, because I think she will go down as an Arsenal legend. What's going on here? It's all right. People, I'm getting sent more and more stories. Getting sent more and more stories. In fact, yeah. Oh, update on Sandro Tonali. That's why I'm getting more and more and more stories. I'm sorry, people. I might have to put my phone in Do Not Disturb in a minute. But yeah, Katie McCabe could be leaving Arsenal, which is a shame because I think she'll go down as a legend. Obviously, won the Champions League with us, many trophies with us. I'm pretty sure she won the WSL with us as well. Yeah. I'm gonna come to that story in a minute. She'd be a very good signing. Um, yeah, let's talk about that now. Reported by Gunner Blog and the Athletic. Obviously, the Gunner Blog pretty much a very reliable source. When Gunner Blog speaks, you listen. Um, yeah, Arsenal women are in talks to sign Barcelona's Ona Batel when her contract expires this summer. No agreement yet, but strong interest from Arsenal and the 26-year-old fullback who can play both sides. So this would pretty much be. I initially thought an Emily Fox replacement. However, I'm starting to feel now that this will be a Katie McCabe replacement, which, as I said, it would be a shame to see Katie McCabe leave. However, it would probably be the right decision. Now, let's go here. It's funny how Fabrizio and David posted at the same time. However, there is an update on Sandro Tonali. Sandro Tonali offered to Arsenal by agent. So Arsenal explored, but no contact with Newcastle United. Nothing will happen this window. The 25-year-old camp put the idea to Andrea Berta, so looked into as per any player of interest. Newcastle exit now impossible. There you go, people. Fabrizio and David Ornstein have both now said it. Maybe in the summer. I think that's very important to take from this. Maybe in the summer. So I want to ask the chat a question. Which Newcastle United midfielder would you take right now? Well, I say right now. It's going to be in the summer, if anyone. Bruno G, who obviously has been a player talked about for years now, or Sandro Tonali. Because they've got some very good midfielders, Newcastle. So which one would you take out of personal preference? Let's keep on going now. One confirmed bit of news. Official, Osman Kamara, who I believe signed a professional contract just last summer. So, yeah, fair play to him. If he wants regular football and sees a pathway elsewhere, then fair play to him for leaving sooner than you'd see other players leaving. He has joined Championship side Blackburn Rovers on a permanent transfer from Arsenal. Wishing you the best of luck in your future. Yeah, I think this guy also featured in that game against Bolton. I could be wrong, but let's find out. Arsenal, Bolton. I think this guy came on for Saka. Oh no, wrong player. That was Cabia, who is. Where's Cabia now? Is he at Shrewsbury Town? Yes, he is now at Shrewsbury Town. On loan though, so he will be back soon. So yeah. Don't want to sound like I'm self-promoting, but he's still good for tonight. Just double checking. I should be good. I'll message you after the stream about it. I'll message you after the stream about it. Don't worry about this self-promoting thing. Yeah, you're no worse than Luca. And I've said every week that I'm going on your podcast, so yeah, don't worry about it. If anything, I've been promoting you. Anyway, Sammy Mockbell. This is a report from Sammy Mockbell. I believe it was first broke by Fabrizio Romano. Arsenal are in discussions with Hearts regarding James Wilson, and it is over a proposed loan deal for the remainder of the season, with a view to signing the player on a permanent basis should he impress during his loan spell at the club. This was then followed up by Sammy Mockbell saying it is not expected that James Wilson will compete for a spot with us. Hold on. Refresh. I did not read that correctly. I am dyslexic, people. It is expected James Wilson will compete for a spot within Arsenal's Youth 21s team, not a first team signing. So, look, as I've said earlier, it has pretty much felt like it is all youth team rumours this window. Very few first team rumours. We had big ones like Alvarez and Tonali, but even they look like there'll be ones for next summer. Well, next window, this summer, which is a bit annoying. I think I've covered all my stories, Arsenal-wise. Anyway, let's go back to David Ornstein, see what else he's putting out. Sorry, people. Hopefully that's better for you. Yeah, you can see me now. Let's see what else David Ornstein's putting on his Twitter. David Ornstein. We're not going to listen to Florian Plettenberg. We've got Tonali, obviously. Nottingham Forest are signing Luca Netz. Very good signing. German Youth International. That'll be a good signing for them because Zinchenko's just left. AC Milan are no... Oh, wow. AC Milan are no longer signing Mateta. He's gone back to Crystal Palace, but could move on loan before the deadline. People, should Arsenal be in for this? Who here would take Mateta on loan? Who here would take Mateta on loan? Because I actually hear this one. 6-month loan. If it works out, you get him permanently in the summer. Who says no? Who says no? London club, Crystal Palace. Just over 2 hours now before the deadline. I don't actually know where Mateta is right now. I don't know if his medical's in London or if it's out in Italy. Obviously, if it's out in Italy, then that would be a little bit... that would make it a little bit more complex, but who would take Mateta on a 6-month loan and then see what happens in the summer? Because if he comes in and performs well, we've seen what this guy can do for Crystal Palace in the Premier League. He's made it very, very clear that he wants one big move before the end of his career. He could get two. Obviously, I think Juventus are in talks for him as well, so it'll be an interesting one. But Mateta, interesting one. Calvin Phillips is 30 years old now. That's mental. Going to Sheffield United on loan. West Ham will not go in for Hardwood Bellis. Yeah, so Mateta was very much looking like he was going to AC Milan, but that one has been called off. Then we've got Mikel Merino and... Yeah. Let's talk about Liverpool. This one here was an interesting story regarding Jeremy Jaquet. He is flying to northwest England this morning for a medical today as all parties work to complete a summer move from Rennes to Liverpool. 20-year-old defender is joining Liverpool on a contract until 2031 plus 1 year after clubs agreed a £60 million deal. A 20-year-old defender is moving for £60 million. You know that clip? What have we done to the world? What have we done? We got Mascara for £13 million. And now it is starting to look more and more and more likely that that is the bargain of the century. Because people, is Jeremy Jaquet, or whatever his name is, actually better than Mascara? Obviously, he's got a lot of hype around him, and I'm sure he is a good player. But is he actually better than Mascara? Let's just be honest here. So for £60 million versus £13 million, same age, pretty much. Mascara's what? A year older? Less than a year older. But that's nearly, what? That's 5 times the price. You could get 5 Mascaras for one Jaquet, whatever his name is. Crazy, crazy stuff. Let's check for Fabrizio. Is anything mental going on over there? Yeah, look, here we go. Stunned Hill. Hold on. 70 million euros. Wow. Kante. No one cares, to be honest. Former Arsenal, Lino Souza, on the verge of leaving Aston Villa. Rotherham, on loan. Interesting. Josh, just interested. Are you still in the chat, Josh? Are you still in the chat? That's Phillips. Simon Adingra's left Sunderland. It's an interesting one. He's only signed there in the summer. Bella Kotchap is permanently left. Southampton. Dizazi. That reminds me, actually, I want to talk about another Chelsea player. Well, former Chelsea player now. Former Arsenal as well. West Ham, Dizazi. Here's obviously the news on James Wilson. Severe Naipan, obviously a player that Arsenal looked at. He's going back to Manchester City. Ooh. Norton Coffey. We reported the other day about Norton Coffey and how Arsenal would make money if a sale was to happen. They're looking at Nathan Patterson on loan. What a downgrade. What a downgrade. What else is going on here? Got a couple of here. He goes here. Mamadou Sarr returns from Strasbourg. Oh, yes. That other centre-back for Chelsea. Poor guy. He's being treated so badly. Gets recalled from one loan just to get sent out on loan to another club. Medical ongoing for Angel Gomez at Wolves. Former England international. I don't see him getting into the World Cup squad, to be honest with you. Especially now he's signed for Wolves. This move has fallen down, I think. I don't think Ricardo Pepi. Yeah, it has been called off. PSV cannot find a replacement, so the deal is not proceeding. So Fulham, who have been chasing Pepi all window, have been told on deadline day that that deal is not happening. And that's pretty poor, to be honest with you. That's poor from PSV. Let's talk about Raheem Sterling. Where should Raheem Sterling go? I don't think he's going to find a club today. And I don't see why a Premier League club would be interested in Raheem Sterling. There is obviously talk that Raheem Sterling could decrease on his wages. It is obviously reported that Raheem Sterling would be willing to take a pay cut to find a new club to play in the Premier League again. However, I just don't see a Premier League club going in for Raheem Sterling anymore. I think his time at Arsenal showed that he was pretty much done at this top level. Fabrizio, yeah. How many players have Chelsea recalled, by the way? So Raheem Sterling, Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham. Are these guys trying to get relegated? Are they actually trying to get relegated? Tottenham Hotspur are seriously considering the signing of Raheem Sterling as a free agent. The manager, Thomas Frank, is on board with this move. This guy, Thomas Frank, was a silver member for Arsenal. Then he got upgraded to a gold member. Is he going to be a season ticket holder soon? If I just said something really dumb. I have just said something really dumb. He's already a season ticket holder. He's getting VIP seats now, Thomas Frank, at the Emirates. VIP seats. He's getting proper hospitality. 3-course meals at half-time. And when the game finishes, he can go in the players' lounge. Yeah, that's the kind of royalty that Thomas Frank is bringing to North London. Silver member, season ticket holder. Now he's going to be getting in that super box. I don't know if you guys have know about that, but Thomas Frank has got that exclusive super box every game now. Give it to him. Yeah, he deserves it. What a comment. Thomas Frank should be the bus driver for the parade, for real. Yeah, this guy deserves all the respect in the world for truly ruining that football club and making North London red. I mean, it's not helped that by the fact that he was literally obsessed with Arsenal. He was giving us high praise at Brentford when he was at Brentford, so it's nothing new there. Tottenham should have known about that when they brought him in. And then in his first Tottenham press conference, he says he starts praising Arsenal. In your first press conference as Tottenham head coach, you praise Arsenal Football Club. Well, then you let Eze dunk a hat-trick on you in the North London derby. Then you get the Arsenal Cups when you go to the Vitality. Why would you do that as Tottenham manager? Thomas Frank goes and gets 4 points off Manchester City. 4 points off Manchester City, who apparently are title rivals. This guy, yeah, give him hospitality every Arsenal game now. He deserves it. He deserves it. Thank you, Thomas, for helping us in the title race. And now you're truly putting that football club in the bin by trying to sign Raheem Sterling. Cheers, Thomas. Thomas the Frank Engine. Ah, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Any more news? I think that's pretty much it. We can check this Twitter account. Normally it's just a load of waffle. Anything actually on here? N'Golo Kante. Joe Aribo signed for Leicester. Raheem Sterling to Union Berlin. However, we know this is fake because it's Florian Plettenberg, who was a fraud. Sandro Tonali. Benzema, Saudi switch. Pretty interesting. Ronaldo's been dropped. Well, anyway. That's pretty much all the news on this deadline day. If anything major happens, I'll probably do another stream later on. However, I think that's pretty much that, to be honest with you. How would you guys rate this deadline day out of 10? Not necessarily for Arsenal, because nothing's happened, but just in general, because I actually think it's been a pretty decent one. I think there's been a lot of sort of drama within the window. I love a deadline day. However, I do think that they are getting less and less exciting. Mainly because we know all the stories in advance. There's a lot of fake stuff that you can read. Cheers, Florian. And most of the signings are all just loan ones now. Since FFP and financial rules came in, yeah, it's a bit more boring. Because due to these financial rules, yeah, Arsenal have definitely got the money to go and buy someone, but we're not allowed to. That's how frustrating it is. We've clearly got the money to go out and buy a midfielder. However, the financial rules are not letting Arsenal do that, which is just annoying. Big up Luca, by the way. Luca talks noble. But yeah, Arsenal clearly have the money to go out and buy someone. However, the financial rules are not letting us do that. We've got the money to go and buy Tonali. We've got the money to go and buy a big midfielder. Yeah, the guy that's just gone to Atletico Madrid, or Madrid are in talks for. Yeah, Rodrigo Mendoza. We've got the money to go and pull a signing off. However, we're being restricted to these loan rules, which Arsenal are not going to do because clubs won't loan their players out. Or cheap signings, which just aren't happening at the moment because clubs know that this will be a panic. This is an emergency reinforcement in midfield now. Mikel Merino is out for the rest of the season. We need to go and bring someone in. But it's not happening because of these stupid rules that are limiting Arsenal to how much they can spend. Now, obviously there are ways around this and being creative, but how are you meant to be creative, right? How are you meant to be creative when it's loan deals which just aren't applicable right now? Or small transfer fees. which is just yeah. This is frustrating. This is frustrating. Yeah. The only real names that we're being linked to heavily are for the youth team. But should that be a priority? Yeah, I think it's good that we are looking into the youth team. However, where's the first team action? And it's the same January, year in, year out. No one's coming in. And it is just frustrating now. It's frustrating because there's 2 hours left till the deadline and no one seems to be coming in. Now, people will say Miles Lewis-Skelly can play in midfield, which I fully agree with. I think Lewis-Skelly one day will be pushed into midfield more. And because he plays there anyway, right? He plays at left back and drifts into midfield. You might as well just stick him in midfield. I genuinely believe that will be the case one day. However, if we do that now, we're then looking like in the defence, and that's why I was saying bring in Mark Gahey all window. Now, I can see why Arsenal haven't done that deal now because of the extraordinary money that he is on at Manchester City. However, it is a bit frustrating that Arsenal are not bringing anyone in. And I think we just got to accept that now. Because if someone was coming in, as I've said, deadline days get less and less exciting, and we'd know about it by now. We would know about it now. If someone was coming in, Fabrizio would have done the here we go. David Ornstein would have dropped the bomber that someone has agreed to sign for us. However, nothing has happened. So we've just got to sit back and take it. And look, do you guys want to know what I would have done? This is what I would have done, right? Where is this guy? Here he is. This man here. I would have kept him. And I'm not talking about Moneri. I'm talking about Alexander Zinchenko. I would have kept him. People might be sitting there and going, "You're crazy. Keeping Zinchenko. Are you crazy?" But this man gave his absolute all to Arsenal. And I genuinely will sit here. I will genuinely sit here and say he deserves to win a title for this club. Boyhood fan. Very passionate. People say he gets too passionate. That's how much he loves this football club. Yeah. He's going to Ajax, and I genuinely wish him the best. Zinchenko should have stayed at Arsenal, and we should have kept him, and we should have said, look, we need you in midfield, mate. And people will say, oh, that he's being phased out the team. Yes, I agree. At left back, he has been. I think there's been a real tactical change in the system at left back since Zinchenko's left the club. But we all know that this guy in midfield has shown absolute quality. Yeah, not just when he's played there for Arsenal, but also for Ukraine, for his country. Now he's going to go to Ajax, and he's going to be a great signing for them. We didn't even get $1 million. Well, we got just over $1 million for him. I'm guessing that is because of wages. I'm guessing he was on an expensive contract, so it's just better to get him off the books. But as I've said, we've got the money now to go and buy Tonali. We definitely have got the money to go out and buy a midfielder. So Why can't that money go towards this man's wages and keep him in as the midfield option for the rest of the season? Because if Mikel Merino's out, it all of a sudden leaves a very, very thin squad again. And that's going to be a problem for us. Because Merino's played a huge part. Merino's played a huge part so far this season. He scored many goals for us this season and last. So he's going to be a big miss. And all of a sudden, broken foot, Arsenal are not addressing it. Yeah, Zinchenko should have stayed. Let me try and do something. Give me 2 seconds, people. I'm going to try and do something. This might not work. This might be stupid. How do I... Is there a way that I can get this? This will do. Upload from computer. Hopefully I'm still live. Okay, cool. So, look, half of these don't matter. Yeah. This is for a video a little while ago. Hopefully you have watched it. Gone. Look, this might take me a little while. However, I think it is the best way of showcasing it properly. Can I make these guys smaller? Just make it a bit easier. I just want to show how little numbers we've actually got now. There's Marino. Miss you, mate. Miss you already. Max Dowman. So, Ethan's obviously gone. So let's move all of these guys. Yeah. I'm guessing over there will do. We've obviously got 2 goalkeepers who are very much reliable, I think. Kepa, you're not going to find anyone as good as Raya. Kepa's a very sustainable number 2. Let me change this. So people can actually see what I'm doing. How's that? No, I don't like that. Either. I think that will have to do, people. We've then obviously got the defence. Hincapié at the back. Where's Gabriel? Big Gabby. Starting centre back, obviously. We then have Mosquera and Saliba. Right centre back. Then you can have your right backs during Timber. Move you out of the way. And wherever Ben White is. Where's Ben White? Ben White, right there. So then you're starting to look a little bit like, because over here you've got Calafiori and Lewis Skelly, both very good options in that position, correct? How's this turn? Cheers, Matt. How has this turned into an MGH video? I know. Should we make the background green? Now we're very much an MGH video. But this is where I start to see a problem with us not addressing the midfield. Zubamendi and Norgard. Norgard obviously not getting the game time that people want, or that he would want. I mean, there's probably an agreement to say you're not going to play all of these games. You've then got Marino and Rice. Then you've got Odegaard, Eze, and Nwaneri. You could argue even Kai Havertz. I'll put Havertz here. I'll put Jesus there and Gyökeres as striking options. Dalman, Madueke, and Saka, and then Trossard and Martinelli. Straight away, this is a position here that needs to be improved in the summer. Left wing. Trossard's a great player. Martinelli's inconsistent. However, what I'm going to do now is take away the players that have either left or are injured or maybe just aren't ready for that first team experience yet. So, Marino, obviously injured. Nwaneri, house on loan. Dalman, 15, 16 years old, would not be a sensible solution, I think. Now, one way you can do this is just putting Havertz back into this sort of number 8 role, which he was brought in to do. However, many fans are criticising him when he plays in midfield, so that probably would not be a sensible solution for Arteta. However, that would then leave a pair in every position on the pitch. However, I think Havertz, we can all agree, his best position is through the middle. So let's just bring Havertz back up front. Now, the second option is obviously bringing Lewis Skelly into midfield. However, this is the problem that I start to see. Let's just move these guys over a little bit. You then need defensive cover. Because Nkapie can go over there and make it a pair at left back. But then all of a sudden you're left with 3 centre backs. So that is not an option. All of a sudden, there is a lack of midfield options. Now, let's just get rid of these guys for a minute. They might come back later on. But these are the only midfield options that we've got right now. 5. Now, Zubimendi and Norgard, obviously. Declan Rice. Look, there is potential talk, as I mentioned, of Max Dalman coming into this role. But for a 15, 16-year-old to put up the minutes that we've asked of Mikel Merino, I don't think that's happening. So, yeah. That's reportedly what's going to happen, but it's not happening, is it? It wouldn't surprise me if we did that. And then all of a sudden we've got a pair in every position, because I think that's what builds a good squad. Having a pair of good players across the pitch in every position, I think that's what makes a good squad. So that's 22 of these guys. But yeah, I think it would have been very sensible to go and bring in a midfielder. But it don't look like that's going to happen. People, I would like to thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the stream. Is there I'd love to be able to redirect you all to Josh, but I don't think I can. I can try and put the link to his stream in the chat, but that probably won't work because YouTube are funny like that. YouTube, StreamYard, they're funny like that. Share. Copy. Hopefully that works. Go on Josh's stream now. We'll have to drop Havertz deep once again, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, he's been playing well recently in midfield, so yeah. But people, thank you very much for watching. Go and check Josh out and go and put in the chat that I've sent you over. But anyway, until then, people, I will see you lot in the summer for more transfer news. I'm going to get frozen and put in the basement until that window opens. So you're not going to hear from me transfer-wise for a little while. But yeah, until then, I'll see you later. Thank you very much for watching. Chelsea tomorrow, match reaction after the game. See you later.